Happening now at 5:31, the last day kids get to sleep in before school starts here in Duke City while they're thinking of classes, homework, and their next vacation. The district is all about school safety. News 13's David Romero is live at APS headquarters to explain. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Matt. Whether it's lockdown procedures or evacuation plans, APS school officials say this is something that they discuss year-round, especially during the summer months and, of course, during the school year. Now, as of now, there are no drastic changes set to take place in what the district uses as far as security measures are concerned. Of course, they cannot release the specific details as to what may be enacted in the event of an emergency, but they say that each school has a set of plans which involve school resource officers working with APD officers. Now, APS says they remain in constant discussion with police as to not only avoid tragedies like the elementary school shooting last year in Connecticut, but to also have efficient plans in place for all the schools here in Albuquerque. Now, there's been question about resource officers possibly carrying guns in schools here as a safety measure, but they say that's something that we won't likely see.
That's not done. I don't think we're looking to do that. There's some issues with that also. So that is a policy decision, but we do not do that here.
And of course, APS officials say it's also important that not only are their resource officers and school officials keeping safety in the forefront of their minds, but that parents should be doing that as well. That means having discussions with your kids and telling them of how to act in certain situations and make sure that both parties are aware of how to contact each other in the event of an emergency. That means parents should know what resource numbers to call here at APS or with a particular school, and students should know the procedures in their school as well. Matt, back to you.
All right, thank you, David. Now remember, it's not only safety in the schools that folks have to think about, but safety on the streets. That affects all of us. Remember, you'll see a lot of kids out walking and riding their bikes tomorrow. And don't forget to slow down in those school zones and watch for buses as well. Well, good news for college students this morning. You're going to save some money this fall. On Friday, President Obama finally signed the bill that lowers federal student loan interest rates and ties them to the financial markets. They doubled last month before Congress was able to fix that. The lower rates mean most students will save about $1,500 in interest just this year. And as your kids head off to college, here's a question that you might be grappling with. Should you give them a credit card? Well, Toby Stanger, the senior editor at Consumer, says you should. He says not only are credit cards needed in certain situations, they can also help students learn.
The real question is, do you want it to be a credit card that they have on their own, which allows them to start to establish credit, but also has its risks, or whether you make them an authorized user on your credit card? Either way, you really have to educate them about fees and about grace periods and all the different things that can add up and cause trouble.
Stanger also suggests that parents open up a checking account for kids going to college. She says it's a great way to teach them how to handle money and everyday expenses. Well, some of Albuquerque's city councilors have a plan to get more police officers to the Duke City and keep them here. Dan Lewis, Isaac Benton, and Don Harris say they're going to introduce a plan to increase funding for APD at the next city council meeting. For the last several years, as you've probably heard, the department has fallen short of its recruitment goals. So the councilors want to spend about $1 million to give all officers a 2.5% pay raise, another $1 million to try to keep the officers here, and $300,000 to help pay off officers' student loans.
The intent here is to rebuild APD. We really feel that the department needs to be rebuilt, not only in numbers, but also long term. I'm very hopeful that it'll be rebuilt in the esteem of the public and the morale of its officers.
The mayor's office says it is open to this idea of more money for the police department.
We feel it's the right thing to do. You know, certainly APD is a very important and incredible department that we appreciate and celebrate daily. And we hope that with the new amount of opportunity with recruitment and retention, we'll be able to continually bolster our manpower.
If the council agrees to give the police department more money, it and the police officers union will have the final say in how that money is spent and where it goes. Happening now at 5:36, family in Albuquerque still on edge this morning after its home is hit by bullets this weekend. A 14-year-old who lives in this home near Perry and Elena Southwest says on Saturday his 10-year-old brother was in the front yard playing when a blue van drove by and started shooting. 2 bullets actually hit the family's home right near where the 14-year-old and his father were working out in the backyard.
I heard one gunshot. My dad stands up, and then another one, and then it lands like right on top of the brick wall, right on top of his head.
Family members say they did not recognize the van or anyone in it, and they can't figure out why they were targeted. Police were able to stop the van a few blocks down the road and arrest Robert Sanchez. Right here is him. He is now in jail, charged with shooting from a vehicle and shooting at a dwelling. A woman in Estancia is facing murder charges after she's accused of stabbing her husband to death. Torrance County Sheriff's deputies were called out to a home on Grayhawk Road in Estancia Saturday night. They found Stephen Peterson lying on the kitchen floor, stabbed a number of times. Peterson died while on the way to the hospital. Police arrested his wife after that, Kimberly, on murder charges. It is 5:37.